Welcome back to another HOF NFL research session. I'm joined again by Brad and Brian, and we are here for week 4 of NFL. Coming off a very strong week 3, up 2 units in week 3, and with more data, I think it's only going to be getting better for us. So, to kick it off with our straights, I have J.K. Dobbins, anytime touchdown, has hit in all 3 games this season, as well as in the head-to-head game last season. And we see here that Cincinnati allow lots of anytime touchdowns to running backs, as well as Dobbins is getting tons of carries in the red zone, 2.3 carries per game. So when it's in the red zone, the ball's going to Dobbins, and the Bengals cannot defend in the red zone. We see Mason, 2 touchdowns last week, Etienne, 1 touchdown the week before, and offered at minus 125, which, Brian, that's great value right there. So, yeah.
Yeah, in line. So I like it. I think that'll cash. For my straight here, we're gonna go with a team prop. We're gonna go with spread minus 6.5. It's just the even line here. We're looking at the last 2 seasons, and then Aiden, if you go up to the filters and throw on the away games, and then throw on the opponent ranking filters. So away, yep, and then opponent ranking up on the top there. Bottom 70 or bottom 25%. Yep. Drag it down there, and then let's look at those results. Whew!
Sheesh!
As you see, the last 2 years, like on the road against really kind of just poor teams, Chargers are covering this really easily. I mean, the Giants, when it comes to total yards allowed and total points allowed, rushing touchdowns, all that stuff, they're bottom 5 typically or below, as you can see on that chart. So a little foreshadowing for the picks to come, but this is how I'm rolling. Minus 115, Chargers minus 6.5. Let's go.
So for my pick, I'm picking Bucks 23 plus points versus the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm in 2 out of 3 games this year and 76% of games since the beginning of last season, including hitting 73% of home games during that span. So we love the value there. We love the home field advantage there. It's also hit in 5 out of 6 games facing teams in the top quarter of matchup grade rank, as we know that the Philadelphia Eagles are a pretty good matchup grade rank, but they've played up to that competition, as we like to see there. They've also scored 33 points head-to-head last year against the Philadelphia Eagles, so that's one thing to note, that they were able to drop that many points last year. Chris Godwin also logged in a full practice Wednesday, so we should see like overall upside for the offense to help offset the Mike Evans injury. And their rookie receiver, Mika Ibuka, has been doing a fantastic job improving that passing offense, as well as veteran Sterling Shepard has been getting some receptions out the slot. So I really think that they have a strong passing attack. And so far this season, Eagles have ranked actually 15th in total yards allowed, giving up an average of 319 total yards, and 18th in opposing points allowed, giving up 21 points on average. So their defense has definitely regressed a bit this year, so I like Bucks scoring a lot here.
Moving over to our parlays now, I have a Chargers parlay. They're playing the Giants, of course, who have been extremely bad this year. We'll be starting Dart, which will be interesting, but I think the Chargers should take the win here, and that's why we're going with money line. Hit in all 3 games this season. If we go to away games based on the last 2 seasons, the Chargers have been a really strong team on the road, hitting in 64% of road games. And of course, they're facing a weak Giants team that has lost all 3 games. So yeah, that's our first leg. Moving over to our second leg, we have Justin Herbert, 200 passing yards. Herbert has been in really great form this season, has hit in all 3 games. And if we go back to quarterbacks that have faced the Giants in recent weeks, Mahomes, Prescott, and Daniels have all smashed this line. As well as if we go to away games for Herbert, he's performed really well on the road over the last 2 seasons, hitting in, I believe that is 73% of games. So strong performance from him as well. For my final pick now, I have Keenan Allen for 40 receiving yards. He's hit in all 3 games this season. He has been Herbert's favorite target this season, averaging 9.3. Fantastic return for him. As well as in terms of receiving yards, the Giants allow lots of yards to wide receivers. So if we go over here, guys, we see this parlay has hit in all 3 games this season. We expect it to continue against a weak Giants team on Sunday, and we're getting it for plus 120. So a nice, safe 3-leg play that I am loving for the weekend.
I love that parlay, Aiden. Brad, how was that parlay from yours last week?
Hey, went very nice, man. All three of the legs hit. I'm really rolling with the bank that I've gotten from that. Gonna keep it rolling this week. With my first pick will be Jacoby Myers, 60 plus yards. Very consistent player. He's hit in all games this year, and he's been averaging 76 yards per game thus far, as well as hitting in 2/3 of the games since the start of last year. So very consistent on hitting this mark. He's been averaging, if you see on the usage chart here, he's been averaging about 8.7 targets per game and commanding a 25.2% target share as well. And we can switch that over here for this year, and you'll see that he is ahead of Brock Bowers, who's been a bit slowed down with knee injuries. So they're going to really look to push the ball here with Jacoby Myers. I mentioned this a little bit last week too. The Bears have some injuries to their secondary, and so the Raiders play the Bears, and I think so they've ranked 6th in passing yards allowed and about 248 passing yards per game. I love what I saw from the Bears offense, so I really think game script will dominate for the Raiders, and they'll have to play from behind, and they'll have to feed Jacoby Myers the ball a lot. So I love this pick here too. Yeah, so for my next pick, I love Trevor Lawrence under 225.5 passing yards at the even line here. We're getting that for -111 on DraftKings. And this is hit in 2/3 of the games this year, and it's hit in 69% of the games since the beginning of last year. To be honest, Lawrence looks a bit inefficient this year so far. He's really been averaging 56% on completion rate and about 6 yards per attempt this year. So he hasn't really been on the same page also with his top wideout, Brian Thomas Jr., so not much upside here for his play. I really like the matchup here. 49ers rank 4th in passing yards allowed, giving up about, as you can see here, they're giving about 172 passing yards per game. That's very low. Historically, they generate a lot of pressure with rushing for and allowing better coverage behind and really limiting chunk yardage. So I think Trevor Lawrence will struggle a bit here in this matchup. And then they just rank overall in the top quarter of matchup grades this year. And if we go to filters, we can see that against similarly opposing ranked teams, that this is hit in all 4 of those games. All right, so for my next pick, I like Quentin Johnson at 50 plus receiving yards. It's hit in all games this year, and he's really benefited from an expanded role with the Chargers. And he's been averaging about 80 yards per game, up from the 50 yards per game since the beginning of the 2024 season, as you can see here. So he's definitely improved his game starting this season, and they've been using him more. He's also commanded a good target share of 22.4% and averaging 8 targets. Also, he's had an elite 17.1 yards per reception this season. So we really love that, getting those amount of targets and yards will get him a lot of overall receiving yards that will definitely hit this line. The Giants are 5th in passing yards, giving up about 252 yards per game on average, and they've just given up big yardage to players like CeeDee Lamb and Deebo Samuel this year. So I think that he's in line to really destroy this defense here. So on the right, we can see the overall parlay. We're getting that at plus 481, which is really good value here.
Yeah, 2 nice parlays on the board. Can't say that mine's the only one that's hitting now, that Brad cashed last week, so that was nice to see. But I'm starting off with the Ravens game, King Henry for an anytime. Really love this. I mean, obviously he had that, fumble late in the game against the Lions. I think that'll only fuel him. And as we see here in the last 2 seasons, 67% hit rate. And then if we go to the away game filters, and then if we go to opponent rushing defense as well, that bottom 50%, we'll see. This is hitting 75% of games. He's 4 touchdowns in 4 games. He's averaging almost 20 carries per game also. And then when it comes to the red zone, 50% of those carries are also on him. So I think if the Ravens win or if it's a close game, Henry's going to get the ball. Henry's going to score. So that would be my first prop. And then moving on to my second prop here, back to the Lions, back to my team. We got Jahmyr Gibbs, the man, the myth. Obviously, David Montgomery had an explosive game last week, but I think that only adds to the influence of Jahmyr Gibbs. Now we got that dual threat here going. Right now we're looking at the last 2 seasons at home. And then, Brad, if you throw on the wins-loss filters and filter by wins, which I think Detroit has this pretty handily against Cleveland. He's every time the Lions win, basically Jahmyr Gibbs has scored. And then third pick will be over to James Cook. So James Cook, anytime, you see the chart here in the last 10, what is that? Averaging over 1.3 touchdowns over the last 10, and then 1.1 in the last 2 seasons here. Yeah, so now we threw on that home filter, and we see that in the last 2 seasons, this has cashed in 75% of home games so far this year. If we go down a little bit, we'll see, the last 3 running backs against the New Orleans defense, who has been struggling thus far, all the running backs have scored, and James Cook, arguably top 3 this year, especially after that last game. Expecting this to cash pretty easily, and I think it's around plus 380 range for all 3 of those. And then if we look at our parlay optimizer for the current season, we'll see that it's 44% combined hit rate. And then wait for this, look at the last 2 seasons on the parlay optimizer, even better value at 46. And as always, thanks to all of our viewers for tuning in, week out. We got 3 more straights, 3 more parlays, a lot more data to go off of, and we're looking to go profitable overall this week and keep the train going. So let us know who you're tailing down below, and see you guys next time.